I really only get to play like at most 2 hours a day before I don't get to do anything else. Because when your phone dies, you like have to have a charger on you, so you can't go anywhere unless you like know your charger will charge it in time. It's
Right.
rough, man. I'm waiting for the Nintendo Switch beta to become like full release because then I'll be fine.
Oh yeah, now that you mention it. But speaking of, at least one thing that I do find comfort in is that the moments that I don't feed is when I actually manage to do my research. And I gotta give props, of course, to the guys that are sponsoring the tournament right now, Samurai Gamers. Every time I need info, okay, how the hell do I play this hero? Like whenever I get inspired by seeing a pro player play someone, like I got inspired by seeing Ignis Batman being thrown out during season 2 of the Grand Finals from Tamago particularly. So usually Samurai Gamers is my go-to website when I need that info. So thank you very much guys for not only sponsoring the tournament but saving my butt during whenever I play AOV and thankfully not feed in those instances.
I can say with very little exaggeration that Samurai Gamers was 70% of the reason I learned this game well enough to do anything with it. So, really happy about that. Also happy about these pick bans, but I'm confused about the Necroth ban, but I'll just chalk it up to the meta. We haven't seen it for the past few games. Maybe it's oh wait, I'm not confused anymore now that I've read the Ryoma's name.
Oh,
Maybe I should use my eyes once or twice here, Arctic. Oh my goodness. Okay. We're good now.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
Dominus Knights 2. Lineup so far. L'Oreal, Zephys, Superman, and it looks like Malik and Xenial. This is a beefy lineup.
Man, that's just so much power. Okay, so if we're gonna talk about heroes that are in the meta, every single hero that Dominus Knights has, you'd see in competitive play, at least on the Valiant server. Not really sure how the international scene is panning out in.
Very similar.
Oh, very similar. Okay.
These
So-
picks are all fairly contested at the very least. So,
Oop.
good reflection there on the meta. But the other side, slightly different story.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we're seeing a little bit of an assortment here, but in all fairness to the draft coming in from YONKOS Esports, what I do see this team comp in is kind of reminiscent of what I saw during the grand finals of season 2, wherein there were a lot of curveballs being thrown out, a bit more creativity. Preta was a massive, massive pick during the grand finals, so not really as surprised that I'm pretty sure it's not really them picking up on that, but probably knowing, like you've mentioned, it's a different meta, a different landscape for different regions. So I think this is a classic demonstration of what, or not demonstration, but a very good idea of what we're seeing in the Valiant server right now, at least in a higher level of competitive play. So I have high
Absolutely.
expectations.
Yeah. And Arthur, I think, is the big standout here in the difference in the meta between the regions because
Right.
he's not seen a whole lot, at least in NA and EU, but here he is a point of contention, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the pick can do in a competitive environment. That Preda, of course, we have been seeing a ton of, at least in the Valor series, and for good reason. Very, very powerful poke mage, but I'm a little bit concerned, Arctic, about its position against the composition of Dominus Knights 2. There's so
Right.
much engage.
That is a rather tricky situation that they're in, which is why I feel like, again, it's another situation wherein these guys, what tools that they have with this composition, especially with the Lumber and the Arthur, Crush and Ryoma to an extent as well, they need to keep this Preda up and kicking alive every single time in these team fights. Because if any one of these heroes, I mean, you have a Superman, you have a Malok, you have a L'Oreal, you have a Zephys, all of these heroes could get in on that back line. And if they get that Preda, then that's going to be a lot of lost power that Yonkos Esports is going to lose out on in early on in team fights, at least if they do get that pick off.
Absolutely. And very soon we will be getting into the early game. We have seen a lot of variety here in the pickups, in the early game strategies, but I'm going to make a prediction, and it's going to be proven wrong, almost certainly, but that's why I'm not the analyst. That's why you're here, Arctic. You're
Oh,
here to
man.
save me from myself. I'm expecting aggression towards the Sage buff. As we
Well.
see nothing of the sort. Excellent.
Well, to be fair, you've been doing pretty well on the analysis part. I mean, I think we've been carrying each other. Let's put it at that.
That's what it's about, man. It's about the camaraderie, and that's what the tournament's about, right? This community tournament, it's about having fun with your friends, trying to win some killer jerseys, trying to win a little bit of cash. It's some good stuff here, and we just see a pretty calm early game. They're just being friendly too. They're just like, hey guys, let's just like chill for a little bit, and I'm kind of okay with that.
Speaking of jerseys, man, those are some pretty sick designs that I saw. Hopefully, I can get my hands on one of them Samurai Gamers Kaisaya. But anyway, going back to this,
making up for lost time, eh? Aren't you?
Definitely. Oh, meanwhile, we have a little bit of a scuffle between these two towards the top side.
This is the noodliest of wet noodle fights we've seen all day, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah. But man,
it's just nothing will happen in that top lane for a long while.
Yeah, for sure. Unless we see somebody go for rotation towards that top side, it's basically going to be seeing two beefy heroes pummel at each other. Nobody really gonna die, but you know. But you know what's really interesting about this game so far is I think because of the nature of both compositions, both sides not really wanting to go for anything aggressive within the earlier minutes. They're just going to allow themselves to amp up, make sure that they reach optimal scaling first. So I think this is going to be one of those games, a different pace from what we've been seeing during the previous ones. And we're probably going to see a lot more action within the later parts once we do hit those higher levels from these guys. Because at this point, I think both sides are going to want to avoid going for these team fights unless probably they really get a sure kill off of a hero that's way out of position. But
absolutely. Yeah, speaking of, Bacalao in a little bit of trouble here. He looks like he might be able to survive. Bagzik not quite going to be able to get the re-engage because that ultimate is on cooldown. But Bacalao will be in a little bit of trouble going forward because Radiant is looking for the tower dive. Bacalao with a great juke there using his 2 will keep him safe as his team takes down that Abyssal Dragon. Great play there by YONKOS Esports. But in the bot lane, King is in a whole lot of trouble, has to shock out defensively. And what the fuck? Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Is looking for the kill.
To be
I
fair,
was trying to think of a way to like censor it halfway through, but I couldn't. Just like you can't cancel the Earth Splitter that just knocked up 2. And the fight that follows, Johan getting low but not going down. It looks like the disengage is trying to come out, but they will pick off Johan for first blood.
Ooh, first blood. Having a Senial and Malok on one composition is almost unheard of. And I think that was a clear demonstration as to why I almost thought that the Malok was going to go down. And Superman going to try to get some decent damage onto the Crest right there. But yeah, as I was saying, just the potential of those team fights with the Malok and Senial combined on one composition, just going to get dirty. But I mean, it's just one kill so far. It could have gone way worse for YONKOS Esports given the composition that they have. So I think that's probably the best case scenario for them, to be honest.
Absolutely. I mean, 1 or 2 picks here and there is not necessarily a game ender. But if you ever get into that attitude as a player, you need to reassess that because 1 or 2 picks can slowly turn into 3 or 4 and then very quickly turn into 5, 6, 7, 8. So they're going to have to be careful and make sure that doesn't happen. But as I say that, Bacalao getting knocked back there, away from the tower. Superman not going to be able to do a whole lot before his ultimate is available.
And at the same time, I mean, the tricky part here, for me at least, when it comes to YONKOS Esports, is they don't have those same fallbacks that Dominus Knights has. Because by fallbacks, what I mean is, okay, let's say if by any chance YONKOS Esports manages to pull ahead, I feel like Dominus Knights has a lot of elements that they could work with that could otherwise allow them to turtle a bit in this game. I mean, there's a lot of ways. I mean, Superman, for example, has all that speed that he could work with. Let's say if YONKOS Esports tries to go for a full collapse onto him. I mean, I think it's pretty much self-explanatory why it's probably not the best idea to want to chase a Superman. But other than that, Senial as well, Senial and Malok, they have, if it really comes to that point, they could just use their ultimates to try to get out of fights, as we did see earlier when the Malok was getting chased down. And Senial just needs to find a target on. Meanwhile, L'Oreal and Zephys, they're quite slippery targets themselves. But, yay, Red Team, they're going for priority over Abyssal right now.
That was an interesting shock because I think it might become a problem in this fight that's about to break out. He doesn't have the knock-up, but the other team does as Bagsit gets knocked up, but not killed. Johan going to go down for the second time this game. Who almost made a very bad mistake. And that Preta is in a whole lot of trouble. Gonna have to pray to God that he makes it out. Oh, that was a terrible pun.
No, I'd actually give you credits to that. I actually liked it.
All right. I'll take it.
Let's say passable, to say the least. But
all right, well, that's pretty good.
Unfortunate for YONKOS Esports there, though. Oh, okay, I'm going to have to hold off from analysis real quick because we have another
fight breaking out. Once again, the ultimate coming out from Bacala, and it is going to pay off for them as they pick up Benjay on that Xenial. The second kill going down. Cookie getting taken out by that Ryoma. And here's the thing. We were talking earlier, and you were mentioning that there's a lot of power in the ultimates and a lot of catch-up mechanics, or at least catch-up potential here from Dominus Knights 2. And I agree with that statement. And a lot of the reason I agree with it is the ult synergy. You know, you can just pop Smite, you pop Xenial's ult, you pop Shock, and you just have a whole lot of AoE damage and lockdown. And that's really powerful if you can pull it off correctly.
Right.
But if you allow YONKOS Esports to keep getting picks like that, keep interrupting the combos, and do stuff like this in the mid lane where you lose your top laner, you're going to have a whole lot of trouble going into the mid and late game because those team fights are not going to come for free. The re-engage is coming out. AI Necroth getting taken out there, as is the Preta, as is Johan. 3 kills coming out in a matter of seconds here. Why do they keep invalidating my points after I say them?
Well, to be fair, one of the redeeming factors to Dominus Knights with the composition that they have is, sure, YONKOS Esports, they might be able to initiate in fights wherein at the start it might be leaning towards them. But the fact that Dominus Knights, given their composition, there's a lot of ways that they could get responses much more faster in case the numbers are, let's say if it's initial 2v2, considering they have the Malok, the Xenial, Superman who just flies across the entire battlefield like there's no tomorrow. It makes for really fast responses. So I think that's what YONKOS Esports need to take into account of that. If ever they do manage to isolate a member for a pickoff from Dominus Knights, they have a very small window to work with.
Exactly, and we just saw that small window evaporate there as Cookie pop Smite, pop the multiple blinks, and got out fine. But on the other hand, if you want to escape like he just did repeatedly, you need your ultimate up. So luckily it's not too long of a cooldown, but that might be a concern coming into the later game where fights might come in hard and fast. Bacala going in with the ultimate, but deciding to disengage.
Yep. Bench going in with that Xenial ultimate for extra measure. Looks like no casualties will be concurred there, though. So, nonetheless, okay, so Cookie.
Oh. Cookie getting stunned up, popping that Smite, gonna have so much damage, blinking in, using the wheel, getting so much damage down. Necroth going to be the second fatality in that fight, 2 for none in favor of Dominus Knights. And they're not done there, they're looking for the Spirit Sentinel.
Yep, looks like they actually going to go for a rotation towards the top side. Ooh, two very beefy members making their way. But, you know, okay, are they going to go for it? Probably not the best idea.
The missed shock suggests to me that you might not want to, but they think otherwise. Benj going in, the damage coming out from Zephys, but it's not enough. This is a very tanky Crest. He will die, but will the Preta get the return kill? He gets one. Benj going to back off, afraid of the second kill, and for good reason.
Ooh, 2 for a kill as well as a tower. I guess not so bad. I mean, if you're going to consider what YONKOS Esports wants, they do want to get an amp up on the Preta, but Cookie.
Oh, the engage coming out. The shock not going to go down just yet. Benj going in with the ultimate, with the knock-up, doing the best he can. Cookie putting out so much damage, but Johan barely getting taken out, and DK is the next target. That makes 2 so far. They're going for 3. Dominus Knights is living up to their name and dominating the fight, but they only end up with 2 for now. Maybe a re-engage here from the side of YONKOS Esports, but I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh man, looks like that's gonna be pressure, pressure, pressure coming in from Dominus Knights right now. And if you notice, Yonkos Esports, they're kind of forced in a position wherein they need to defend this first tier in the mid lane. But given that pressure, looks like Dominus Knights. Okay, I was almost thinking they'd go for Abyssal right there. Looks like that won't be the case. Okay, I stand corrected. Zephys goes straight at it. Just when I was about to say that Dominus Knights didn't want to go for it.
Yeah, this is my solo queue special. It's like, okay, if you guys don't want to take the Abyssal, I do. I'll just solo it. Don't die. And they're doing exactly that. They pick off the Ryoma right there, and they're looking to pick off more. Johan going to have to get out once again. Earthsplitter to peel himself off. The third Abyssal Dragon going down to Dominus Knights. And Bacala in trouble. Great ultimate so far, but what can he do with it? He can get more damage, more knockups, more AoE. The shot comes out, but it's not enough to keep the damage going down. They are so healthy here for Yonkos Esports, but they take one down. They're going to take another. They have 3 kills. Will they get a fourth? The dive goes out, and they get the 4 kills. A near ace there. Great fight from Dominus Knights too.
Oh man, that was so unfortunate for Yonkos Esports. And I think this was what you were talking about earlier. In order for Dominus Knights' composition to really thrive in the team fights, they need to have the perfect layer of crowd control, the perfect layer of sets, layer upon layer, to make sure that they not only get a good hold on the members of Yonkos Esports, but also so that they have a good flow of damage throughout the team fight within the window that they do have layering that. And I think that's basically what happened right there. There wasn't really much Yonkos Esports could do because of the excellent set coming in from Dominus Knights. And that's probably a worry, because I think that pretty much solves our problem as to whether or not Dominus Knights has that coordination to execute in those team fights.
Absolutely. They are doing so well in these fights so far. They're up 5.2k gold, 2 Abyssals, 3 towers above their opponents. They are doing incredibly, incredibly well. And it looks like they heard my praise and are like, wait until you see this. The shock doesn't hit anyone, but it is on the ground. It is getting the slow. The damage is being taken by the side of Yonkos Esports. They've lost 2. They're going to lose 3. The Preda going down. 2 members remaining only for Yonkos Esports.
Oh man, absolutely crazy. I gotta give it to Benj. One of the reasons why Yonkos Esports wasn't able to do much is because the Preda was so preoccupied with Benj diving in onto him that he wasn't able to dish out the optimal damage that you would have probably hoped. And that's what we've been talking about from the start of this game. It's such a massive struggle to be a Preda when you have all these people from the side of Dominus Knights that could easily dive in onto you. And I think that could ultimately be Yonkos Esports' undoing at this point.
Absolutely. And the thing is here as well, Dominus is doing so well with keeping their lead. A lot of the problems you'll see in all levels of play, really, is that they get a lead and then they just kind of sit on their laurels for a bit and they're like, yeah, we've got a lead. Cool. And they don't really do a whole lot with it. But you're seeing Dominus Knights steal away the jungle. They're taking away the Abyssal Dragon. They're putting pressure in the side lanes. And look at that. Superman gets away from 3. Radiant doing a great job here, keeping solo pressure so the rest of his team can do stuff around the map. They're splitting up into all 3 lanes. They're taking down the mid lane tower, but it looks like Cookie wants to go in for the engage. Smite has been popped. This could be the team fight that Yonkos was looking for, but they don't go on to Cookie. Cookie is just getting free reign in this fight. So much shielding, so much healing, and he's going to stay alive. He gets 1. There's 3 down already for Yonkos. This won't be a good fight for them as Preda gets knocked back into the team, and he goes down as well. 4 for 1 in this fight. That was terrible for Yonkos. They couldn't get a pick off onto Cookie, and that was all they needed to do.
Oh man, and with AI Nakroth, the only member that is up and kicking for Yonkos Esports, that's a tall order they have to do as far as keeping up the defense to keep this game going, and that's going to be the ace for Dominus Knights. Man.
That was rough.
That was pretty rough indeed. It looks like Superman wants to go for the finish here. Death timers are almost done for Johan the Crushed.
A bit of a coordination issue here. They could have taken it had they all gone at once, but now this might be a bad fight for them. The smite going out from Cookie to get himself out of there. Going to be safe for now, but that could have been the end of the game had they communicated better. So we're seeing a little bit of a communication breakdown for the side of Dominus Knights, and that might be something that Yonkos can exploit.
That was rather unfortunate. I'd have to agree with you. That was easily the finish to the game, but tricky there. Okay, so you could look at two sides of the coin here. Like, they could have gone for the finish, or like the other members were thinking, like, why don't we play it a bit safer, take out all the high grounds before going for that finish? But either way, given the massive lead that they have, I don't think it's much of a detriment at this point.
Little bit of a fight breaking out in the mid lane. 2 ultimates burned so far. Cookie going in, drops the smite in the middle of all of them. The shot goes out and actually gets a few of them. So much damage here onto the Crest. Crest is the first one to fall. Next is going to be Bacalaw, then Johan. There is nothing they can do to protect their core now. They are trying to do their best to get the damage down. They take another kill. 4 for none in this fight. Everyone is so low. Bagsik is like 3 HP. He gets taken out, but so does the core. Dominus Knights 2 with a dominating performance.
Oh man, that was absolutely beautiful coming from Dominus Knights. And again, I'm such a fan of these type of compositions wherein a team is able to demonstrate just how coordinated they are. And I think it just pretty much showed right there just how much Dominus Knights is able to do just that. The way that they maneuvered around these team fights, able to build up that lead. And I think the struggle there for YONKOS Esports is their composition is okay. It's just that because of how well layered Dominus Knights is in those team fights, whether it be in crowd control or damage, there's not really much room for YONKOS Esports to do much in the team fight themselves. And even though in the later parts we did see a tad bit of an inkling to do just that, but the lead was just so massive at that point that there was just no return for them. Dominus Knights just definitely, truly dominating in that game.
Absolutely. A great performance from them to finish out the second to last match of the day. Let's remind everyone what this tournament is about, who it's being sponsored by, who everyone is, and then we'll toss it to a break. First off, what it is. Arctic, take it away.
Yes, so, of course, an awesome effort coming in from Kaisaya in sponsorship of Samurai Gamers, wherein we have a massive prize pool of we have an 8,000 worth of esports jerseys.